Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. Zhou hurriedly raised his hand and interjected, Monastery Master Xia, don't misunderstand me. I only hope all of you will be able to live to your full potential, but I have no intention of forcing any of you to stay. Yes. Xia Chengqiu hastily said. However, Xia Chengqiu's words seemed to have stunned the geniuses. Huang Yu asked curiously, Senior Liu, do you really intend to rebuild the Sky Research Court? Well, if you want to rebuild it, we'll rebuild it. If you want to, then it's fine as well, Zhou said. The geniuses were delighted. Then, can you return my possessions to me? The things in the Literary Star warehouse are yours to begin with. Zhou replied calmly. You'll satisfy all our needs? Zhou said resolutely, no, I won't promise such a thing. However, as long as it doesn't go against my morality, I'll agree to everything. The geniuses understood the reasoning behind this answer. Moreover, why would people help them if they were completely inflexible? Huang Yu was the first to raise his hand and said, good. I'll stay. With Huang Yu taking the lead, the others raised their hands and agreed one after another. Zhou nodded in satisfaction as he said, very good. At this moment, Li Yunjing chimed in, then, I will also write a decree for the Sky Martial Court to be demolished and for the Sky Research Court to be rebuilt. Meanwhile, Wang Dachui held the longevity sword carefully and hurriedly said, leave this sword to me. If I can't repair it, I'll personally chop my head off and present it to you on a platter, Senior Liu. The beggar-like man said, Dachui, stop showing off. I can repair it as well. It's not your turn to brag. Give it to me. He walked up to Wang Dachui and began arguing over the longevity sword. Hey, don't fight me over it. Serious matters should be left to the professionals. What do you know? Get out of the way. No one's allowed to get close to this sword. Wang Dachui said indignantly. He held the longevity sword tightly against his body as he looked at his peers vigilantly. Although Zhou managed to convince these talented people to stay, they needed to be managed. Then, he thought of Si Wuya. In a way, Si Wuya was similar to these people. He decided not to dwell on the matter. When Si Wuya arrived, he would let Si Wuya think of a solution. Following that, Zhou said, don't forget my second request. Everyone quieted down and looked at Zhou. Luo Xian? The genius's excitement faded immediately as soon as Luo Xian was mentioned. Senior Luo Xian is the ultimate genius of the Sky Research Court. It's pity. It's truly a pity that she's a fool now. Zhou asked skeptically, a fool? We're not sure what's going on either. We were imprisoned by Yu Qinshu before she returned. To capture us all at once, he invited everyone from the Sky Research Court to a banquet. Later, he sealed our cultivation bases and imprisoned us under the Literary Star Gate. The Literary Star Gate. Zhou turned to look at the Literary Star Gate. This was where the beams of light converge before shooting out that towering pillar of light at him. Senior Liu, I'll go and save Luo Xian now. Wait. Zhou turned around with his hands on his back. I'll go. Everyone nodded. Huang Yu looked at the people from the Sky Research Court and asked, I'll go with Senior Liu. Do you want to come with us? No. It's so smelly, I could die. Even if you beat me to death, I'm not going. You go. Following that, Huang Yu and Zhou walked to Zhou. Huang Yu said, I'll lead the way. Zhou's entourage followed him as well as Huang Yu led them to the Literary Star Gate. While they were walking, Huang Yu asked tentatively, Senior Liu, do you know Luo Xian? We met once, Zhou answered truthfully. Their meeting was limited to one half of the memory crystal. Huang Yu said with a sigh, she's the most talented person in our Sky Research Court. She even created the water shuttle at such a young age. It's truly a pity. Was she very powerful? Zhou asked. She had already reached the 10-leaf stage. However, she spent most of her energy studying the 10-leaf level, but most of her energy was spent studying the other universes. She was the first person to discover the Golden Lotus domain and the Black Lotus domain. 300 years ago, she created the water shuttle and traveled through the Blackwater Mystic Cave. After that, she disappeared for quite some time. For some reason, when she returned it was as though she had become a fool. She's locked in the deepest part of the underground prison by that old fart, Yu Qinshu, Huang Yu said. After a brief pause, Huang Yu continued to say, it's not an exaggeration to say that if she had focused on her cultivation, she wouldn't be inferior to Yu Qinshu. After sprouting the 10th leaf, she began researching some kind of potion or something. She wanted to create something that could help humans raise their cultivation bases and break the limit of the birth charts and the Thousand Realms whirling stage. She experimented on herself, causing her 10-leaf cultivation base to be incredibly unstable. She really suffered a lot. After a while, Huang Yu stopped in his tracks and said, Senior Lu, we're here. Little Yuan and Conk, who had followed their master, came to a stop as well. From the beginning until now, Conk's expression had been slightly unnatural. She felt inexplicably familiar with this place. Huang Yu pointed at the stone pillar and said, this is the most powerful part of the god-killing formation. The Sky Martial Court used it to gather a large amount of energy for the god-killing formation. Once its power is released through this stone pillar, even a birth chart master would have a difficult time. They had all seen the power of this stone pillar with their own eyes. It was really impressive that the Sky Research Court created such a powerful formation. Open it. Huang Yu pointed at the literary star gate. He Zhong walked to the side with a smile and said, would you believe me if I say I can open this lock with my fingernail? Stop showing off. Hurry up, Huang Yu urged He Zhong. You're no fun. He Zhong raised 2 fingers as a surge of energy entered the keyhole. Then, with a click, the lock was opened. After his cultivation base was unsealed, he could now condense energy. It was nothing to unlock a lock. Creak. The literary star gate opened. Lu Zhou and Huang Yu walked in the lead. Soon enough, Huang Yu brought everyone to the underground prison. The dark underground prison was unsettling and made one feel rather uncomfortable. At this moment, little Yuan discovered Conk's unnatural expression. Conk, what's wrong? Conk shook her head. Senior sister, I'm fine. I'm just a little dizzy. Lu Zhou stopped walking and turned back to look at little Yuan and Conk. Then, he said, Yuan, bring Conk out. Okay. Little Yuan reached out to support Conk. However, Conk waved her hand and said, Master, I'm fine. There's no need for me to leave. Are you sure you're fine? Lu Zhou flicked his finger, and a golden seal floated forward. 1 gave birth to 2, 2 gave birth to 4, 4 gave birth to 8. In just a moment, the dark underground prison was lit up. Conk nodded. I'm really fine. I'm just a little dizzy. Maybe it's the airflow here. Okay. Lu Zhou and the others continued to move forward. They continued walking, it was as though there was no end to the underground prison. A sour stench permeated the entire place, while in the prisons on both sides, chains and shackles could be seen. A skeleton could also be seen sitting in one of the prison cells. It was truly shocking. To think the people from the Sky Research Court were imprisoned here for 100 years. Even after walking for 15 minutes, they had yet to reach the end. Li Yunzheng stopped in front of a prison cell. He knocked on the iron door angrily and said, Yu Qinshu. If he is still alive, I will definitely chop him into pieces. Although Li Yunzheng was young, he was not unfamiliar with hardships. For many years, he lived a lonely life in the royal palace that was like a prison. Fortunately, he survived it. When he saw 2 rows of prison cells, smelled the indescribable stench, the corpses, and the bones, how could he not feel pain on their behalf? Compared to the people from the Sky Research Court, his life was incredibly comfortable. Everyone wanted a carefree life, but how many could have such a life? Moreover, in an environment such as this, how was it possible to talk about dreams and the future? Just being able to leave the place and breathe the fresh air probably already felt like a huge blessing. Huang Yu and He Zhong's heart was moved by Li Yunjing's reaction. At this moment, Huang Yu finally said, "The door to the inner room, where Luo Xian is being held, is up ahead. Yu Qinshu prepared a special prison for her and kept her apart from us. We haven't seen her in a long time. Yu Qinshu came here once a month. I don't know what her condition is like now, so Senior Lu, you should mentally prepare yourself." "Don't worry." Lu Zhou slowly raised his hand. Energy surged out, emitting a brilliant light. The stone door that was densely carved with complicated symbols appeared before everyone's eyes. Huang Yu said, "Only Yu Qinshu could open this door." However, he left a key to his confidant who would come to clean the room every once in a while. Apart from that, no one is able to enter. Lu Zhou asked, "Where's the key?" "We don't know." Huang Yu and He Zhong shook their heads. "Master," Little Yuan said, "just save the trouble and kick the door open." Upon hearing this, Wu Wu and Ji Fengxing instinctively moved to the side. Little Yuan rushed to the door and directly kicked the door. Bang! Dust stirred up from the kick and fell on the stone door that was about 300 feet tall. Apart from that, nothing happened. Little Yuan withdrew her feet. The corners of her lips turned down as she put her hands on her hips and scoffed. "I don't believe this wicked door is so strong. I'm going to destroy it." He Zhong hurriedly moved in front of Little Yuan to stop her. He said, "No, no, no, my great little ancestor, you can't do this. It's not difficult for a cultivator to destroy this door, but what if the door collapses? Luo Xian is still inside, after all, and I heard her condition isn't very good." A small stone door, naturally, could not stop cultivators, let alone an elite like Lu Zhou who had formed his Thousand Realms whirling avatar. Huang Yu looked at He Zhong and asked teasingly, "Aren't you able to unlock the door with your fingernail? Give me some time." "Just watch," He Zhong said as he turned around to face the door. To be precise, what prevented the stone door from opening was not a lock, but some mechanism and a formation. It was difficult for ordinary cultivators to open it, but the lunatics from the Sky Research Court loved a challenge. However, Lu Zhou raised his hand and stopped He Zhong, "Let me do it." "Yes, Senior Lu." Lu Zhou stood in front of the stone door before he gently pushed his hand out until his palm was flushed against the stone door. The symbols on the door lit up immediately. As soon as they lit up, Lu Zhou felt his heart stir. The symbols were not incomprehensible at all. It was in fact an engraving of a symbol that everyone on Earth recognized. It was a dragon. As a transmigrator, Lu Zhou was naturally familiar with the Eastern culture since he was young. How could he not recognize the dragon, although right now, the symbols were just a rough carving of the dragon? "It's a carving of a fierce beast? What fierce beast is this?" Lu Zhou looked at Meng Changdong, Xia Chengxiu, and the others and said, "It's a dragon." "A dragon? There are many kinds of dragons recorded in the ancient books, but none of them look like this," Li Yunjing said in confusion. "What do the dragons in the ancient books look like?" Lu Zhou asked. "Oh. There are a lot of them. There are 7 or 8 kinds of dragons recorded in the ancient books, but none of them are curved like this. It's strange. They look like insects." Li Yunjing said. "Stop talking nonsense and slap your mouth." Lu Zhou frowned. Everyone was stunned. Although Li Yunjing was the emperor, his other identity was that of Lu Zhou's grand disciple. It was natural for a grandmaster to discipline his grand disciple. Li Yunjing raised his hand and symbolically slapped his mouth. Then, he returned his gaze to the lit-up dragon carving and asked, "Grandmaster, what's this?" "It's an ancient and sacred dragon. Legend has it that it can be visible and invisible, small and big, short and long. It's the symbol of a nation, the symbol of the spirit," Lu Zhou explained as he continued to channel his primal qi into the door. Li Yunjing nodded despite the confused expression on his face. Huang Yu praised Lu Zhou. "I see. Senior Lu is truly knowledgeable. I'm impressed." As soon as Huang Yu finished speaking, the symbols moved before they formed a complete dragon. Following that, Lu Zhou channeled his extraordinary energy into the door. A dragon came to life and flew out of the door before it disappeared into thin air. Bang! The stone door collapsed into a pile of rubble in just an instant. Everyone retreated to avoid the falling rubble. Only Lu Zhou remained motionless, pushing the rubble away with his energy. He Zhong exclaimed in surprise, Senior Lu's cultivation is truly profound and awe-inspiring. This stone isn't made from ordinary materials, and yet, Senior Lu easily turned it into a pile of rubble. The others did not pay attention to He Zhong. He Zhong asked Xia Chengxiu awkwardly, don't you think so? Xia Chengxiu, Meng Changdong, and the others acted as though they did not hear He Zhong. It's really very impressive. He Zhong's praise sounded unnatural and forced. The Cloud Mountain's Nie Qingyun looked at He Zhong as though He Zhong was an idiot. His expression seemed to say, is he really a genius from the Sky Research Court? Why was He Zhong making a fuss over nothing? Lu Zhou walked into the stone room with his hands on his back. Light shone through from both sides of the long corridor. The condition of the stone room was universes apart from the dark prison cells behind them. Everyone was surprised by this sight. Yu Qinshu was really generous to spend so much money building such a place. Soon after, the corridor led them to the deepest part of the room. Everyone came to a halt immediately. There was a bed in the center of the room. A woman with white hair and a wrinkled face lay quietly on the bed. Her eyes were glassy, there was no sign of life in them at all. Huang Yu sighed. Who knew she'd end up like this? Lu Zhou did not say anything and walked to the side of the bed. His eyes fell on the woman. In 300 years, the woman in front of Lu Zhou had lost her youth. Nevertheless, he could still recognize her from his memories. There was no doubt the woman lying on the bed was Luo Xian, whom Ji Tiandao had met 300 years ago. At this moment, time seemed to speed backward. Memories of the past returned to Lu Zhou's mind. It seemed like the legend of the dragon had been told to her in that unknown place. They had supported each other and escaped unknown dangers until they reached the legend of the dragon seemed to have been told to her in that unknown place. They had supported each other and escaped from unknown dangers until they arrived in Great Yen. Since Lu Zhou did not speak, the others, naturally, remained silent. No one knew what was going through his mind at this moment. On the other hand, Conk began to feel dizzier and dizzier. It was as though she had imbibed too much alcohol or as though she had been drugged. However, she steeled herself and tried her best not to faint or fall. At this moment, Lu Zhou finally asked, you took something from me. When will you return it? Luo Xian's eyes remained lifeless, looking as though she did not hear Lu Zhou at all. Senior Lu, she has lost her soul. That was why there was nothing Yu Qinshu could do to her. We learned from her and pretended to be crazy as well, Huang Yu said with a wry smile on his face. Lu Zhou ignored Huang Yu and continued to ask, where's the Great Void? Huang Yu suddenly trembled when he heard this question. Why is everyone asking the same question? Yu Qinshu had asked this as well. Every time he came here, he would ask this question. His voice was loud, and he sounded like a madman. Great Void. What is it exactly? Hearing this question, Huang Yu suddenly quivered and said, why are you all asking this question? Yu Qinshu seems to be asking too. Every time she comes down, she has to ask. His voice is too loud, like a madman. Taishu. What is it? Lu Zhou looked at Huang Yu and said, everyone, leave. Everyone bowed and left one after another. Meanwhile, Conk was about to turn around when she finally could not endure it and fell. Master. Conk is. Little Yuan hurriedly caught Conk. Lu Zhou glanced at the Conk and said, take her out, and let her rest. Little Yuan said in shock, Master. She's really hot to the touch. Lu Zhou frowned. Why would Conk have a fever for no reason? Normally, it was impossible for cultivators to run a fever. If she had a fever, it could be that she was poisoned. You and Conk can stay. The others may leave. Yes. Everyone turned around and began to leave one after another. Before Huang Yu left, he said, the Sky Research Court's son Zhenghai is skilled in medicine and healing. Should I summon him here? There's no need for that for now. If there's a need, I'll call you. Then we'll take our leave. Huang Yu and He Zhong turned around and left the underground prison. They knew it would not be appropriate for them to stay any longer, so they left quickly. After everyone left, Lu Zhou waved his hand casually. Energy surged out and shrouded Conk before it carried her in front of Lu Zhou. Subsequently, Lu Zhou raised his palm. Soon enough, a blue lotus appeared on his palm.